Only gave you half of it. 50% of a sweet thing. Yeah, I couldn't resist it. I miss having that song in the intro, I really do. But yeah, I knew that I'd get some flack for it. Did I? I'm sure I did. Anyway, how's everybody doing? It's Tuesday. It's 8 o'clock in the evening, which means it's time for macro talk. And I couldn't decide what I was going to talk about tonight. Well, I actually had decided what I was going to talk about, but I've been thinking about changing it. I'm going to be making a lot of excuses tonight. Not very good excuses, just excuses. So that might be the best subject. We're planning on talking about innovation, and later in the week we're going to be talking about invention. A couple of things that I think are absolutely crucial in macro photography, but we'll get to that in a minute. Let's start with excuse number one, or apology number one. I have not posted my blog post yet, though I will be posting it this evening as soon as this is done. I wanted to make the apology / excuse first. In this, if you read it and you are not a member of Patreon, you're going to feel like this was kind of in bad form for me to talk about the recent Zoom meeting that we had on Saturday at such length. But I had to. I had to because it was such a good meeting. It was such a useful meeting. And you can just see from reading the chat tonight that almost everybody that attended agreed that it was a fantastic meeting. We had two presentations, one by your very own bouncer Bud and one by Klaus Galoy, and everybody's talking about them. I have received nothing but glowing reports and letters of thanks for putting this on, because there was a lot to be learned, and it's going to change the way I do the Zoom. I think that we're going to use this platform more and more to share this kind of information. Now, if you're not a member of Patreon, you're probably getting a bit irritated hearing about it, and I don't blame you. I think what I will do is I will talk to my friends at Patreon, that's my followers at Patreon who are also my friends, and get permission to release maybe a future episode to everybody, so that it's not quite so mean-spirited. But I did have to talk about it in today's post, and I hope you understand why. Patreon is the only way I survive in doing this. I couldn't do this without my Patreon supporters. I really couldn't. I mean, it would be about a month before I was out of business. Patreon keeps me afloat, allows me to do this job day in and day out, and without them I couldn't do it. So that's not going anywhere, and that's not going to change. But if you want to be part of that, then that's great. I would welcome you, but I'd want you to be doing it because you wanted to do it, obviously. So please don't feel like I'm excluding you when you read this blog post if you read it. Okay, enough. That's my first excuse. Second excuse is to Crispy B. If you sent me an email, I never got it because I spent an hour looking for it the other day. Never did see it. Is it possible that you spell crispy different in the email? I don't know. Maybe you have a secret email that I'm not aware of, but I did not get the email about, I've forgotten what you were writing to me about. It's been so long. Microscopes, possibly? Cameras? These are the things I normally would talk about. So yeah, if there's another way I should be looking for the email, give me a hint in the chat and I'll find it. Hobby Lobby. To be honest, not my favourite shop, but that's neither here nor there. Today they had velvet on sale. Look at this. Have you ever seen anything that black? This is velvet. Normally, this stuff costs almost $20 a yard. A yard is how you measure fabric. 3 feet long, and it's about 4 feet wide. So I bought 2 yards of it, which is an extravagance, but it was on sale. But it was only on sale before I tried to buy it. It was on a rack saying 40% off. And I did the mathematics, and I thought 2 yards of that I could afford. So I took it up to the front, and I said, I'll have 2 yards of this, please. And I said, just making small talk as she was measuring it to cut it, I said I would normally not buy such fine fabric, but it's on sale. And she said, oh, no, it's not. No, it's not. And I said, but it is. There's a sign there that says it is. And I took it and showed, it's a big sign, 40% off. So I thought I would advertise that so that you would know that their velvet's 40% off, and see if you have as much fun as I did in getting them to honour that, which they did. They did. I got it at 40% off. The line she cut it wasn't very straight, and I think that was mean-spirited, but yeah. So there you go. This is the blackest velvet I've ever seen. This is going to be excellent as a backdrop. So seriously, all their fabric is on sale except the black velvet, unless you complain. So get some. I bought something else while I was there, and I'm going to share it with you because I think this is a bit weird too. I bought a special kind of compass. I wanted a compass that had a longer arm on it, and I didn't realise that they made such a thing. That's without the longer arm. That's with the normal arm on it. See, like a regular compass. And look at this. Oh, this thing. This thing goes on there like that, and then the other bit goes on the end, and you've got a compass to make gigantic circles with. So I thought that is really nice. And then I noticed that on the front of the box it said it was a 5-piece set. And I added up the pieces, and there were 4 of them. I didn't do this in the shop. I did this in the privacy of my office. And I thought, well, you know, that's a bit rum. They trick you into thinking there's a 4th piece, and there isn't a 5th piece. Well, there was a piece of paper in it, and on the back it said what was included in the set. And the 5th piece was, and I'm not kidding here, it was the plastic box that it comes in. That's counted as a part. So, if you want a 4-piece compass that has a gigantic circle, go get this. If you're looking for 5 meaningful pieces, hold off. Hold off. Okay, somebody asked, I think it was Robert asked, a very intelligent question of why the heck do my Portulaca seeds not look the least bit like Graham's? This is one of those meaning of life questions that I've been asking all week long, because mine, allow me to show you, also don't look anything like Graham's, and these were from Graham. These were shaken from the very plant that he got his seeds from. These just are little black things. They don't look anything like his gorgeous seed. So I talked to him about it, and he said they probably irradiated it at the airport. I don't know how they would know that I hadn't ordered them. I don't know how they knew Graham had sent me seeds, or why they thought it was worth getting nuclear material in there to radiate my seeds, but they apparently did, because only about 1 in 10 or 20 of these are shiny like his are. So it got me thinking. Never a good sign. It got me thinking. What are the right Portulaca seeds, which was the question that Robert asked, and the answer is I have no idea. I have no idea. But what I did do was I checked with ChatGPT, and I said exactly what had happened. I said, my friend Graham sent me some seeds that were maliciously irradiated at the border by the airport, and now they're no good. What can I do with these seeds to make them better to photograph? And she gave me 10, that's 5, but imagine I did it twice, 10 of the most useless tips I've ever received. She said, wet them, I already done that. You wet them and within about 10 seconds they sprout. So that's no good. She said dry them, which seemed contradictory, but they were already dry. And on and on. Put a fine mist. Do a fine mist on them. Change the way you light them. Get a better photographer to photograph them. I swear, that's what she said. Get somebody more experienced to photograph them for you. We've already done that. Graham did that. So what are the right Portulaca seeds? I have no idea. I do know that these in their current state are not they. I planted some. They have shown no evidence of growth at all. I thought they were growing in the flower bed. That was actually some animals' droppings that were visible on the ground. But yeah, so there's no growth of my Portulaca. But it did get me thinking, what else could I get seed-wise that would make a picture as stunning as Graham's so that I would feel less insignificant in the world? And I went to all of the nurseries around here, which was a problem. Only go to the nurseries that say plant nursery. If you go to any of the nurseries at the hospital asking these questions, you'll get in trouble. So just stay away from the hospitals. Go to the plant nurseries. And I asked, do you have any tiny seeds that are pretty to look at and would make for a good photograph? I'm going to give you the list that I was given, and I'll tell you how they worked out for me so far. Poppy seeds. These are quite attractive. They're very small. They do have a nice colour, but it's just one colour. They're not electric like the Portulaca. And yeah, I'll grant them. That's been the one recommendation that everybody gave me. Begonia. This is a plant, I'm told. They're tiny. The seeds are they're kind of brown and round, and they look like tiny plant seeds. They are unspeakably boring. Okay? Lobelia, another plant. Lobelia erinus. These are very tiny seeds that, when you magnify them, look like slightly bigger tiny seeds that are brown and boring. In fact, I think they sold me 2 batches of begonia seeds. Petunias. This is another plant. In fact, I'll tell you what, they're all plants. I have no animal seeds listed. So the next one was a petunia. These are tiny and small and otherwise identical to the others. Small brown seeds. Finally, we get to cress. Lepidium sativum. Yeah, these are slightly larger, round brown seeds. As are the coleus, mimosa, snapdragon, and nigella seeds. They're all identical. So if you do this experiment, you're wasting your time. They're all absolutely identical. Unless I got them mixed up, which is possible. Okay, so that's it. I can't help you, Robert. You're on your own. This talk about the battery for the light that we were talking about at the weekend, when we're talking about doing this high-speed thing that we spent the first hour of the program talking about, the subject of the battery for the light came up. Now, I have some lights that I'm experimenting with that don't need that much power, but I do know that the battery that was purchased was 26.5 volts, I think, and people are saying it was $250. That might be the case, but unless I'm mistaken, and we'll have to check on this, but I think that was only the maximum power, and that isn't the power that was being used to take the photographs. In fact, I don't think he ever uses that much power. So I know they sell much cheaper batteries at 24 volts, and I think you can also buy 2 12-volt ones. So I don't think that the $245 thing is hard and fast. What I'll do is, as we go along, I'll dig around and see if I can get my notes from the other day. But I think I remember saying that the Klaus's battery is overkill for what you'd need most of the time. So don't be put off just because of that enormous battery. It did look like a car battery when he was trying to put it on his belt. But yeah, I have a feeling that Klaus may already have addressed this in the chat and talked a little bit about options for the battery, but I hope so. I wouldn't want this to put anybody off, because really, you can do the technique he did with sun on a bright day. You get enough light, natural light, to do the whole thing. So yeah, just wanted to say that. I think that's everything that I had. Coming up this weekend, well, actually before the weekend, on Thursday, we're going to be talking about invention as opposed to innovation. I'll explain the difference in a second. But then on Saturday, we have After Stack, which is from 10 until about 11:30. And then, oh, you know what? I made a mistake, didn't I? I did this last month, only a different kind of mistake. I have told everybody that we're doing Tangent this weekend, but it's not. This is not the right weekend. It's next weekend when we have Pazoom first. Larry, sorry, stand down. If you saw that thing, I'll change it. I'm not going to mess it up again for you this month. So there is no Tangent this weekend. My bad. See, I told you there were a lot of apologies. Okay, enough, because the more I talk, the more I'm going to have to apologize. We covered all the seeds I could think of. So what's the difference between innovation and invention? And is it important? It's very important. The subject came up because of this weekend. If you had been there, you would have seen two gentlemen describing one innovation after another. An innovation is an improvement, is the way you can think about it. An improvement on an existing technology or an existing product or an existing technique. When we innovate, we take an idea that's already established and we make it better or better suited to our needs. And you can think of it as a process that's ongoing. People are always innovating. When people stop innovating a concept, it's because that concept is no longer interesting to people, and that product is now for the history books. As long as the product is out there and being used, people are going to be innovating and trying to find ways to improve it. It's the way of life. And in macro photography, it is at the very core of what we do. We are, in many respects, on the cutting edge of experimental type photography. Now, don't jump on me for I know that there's lots of weird stuff that people are doing out there in labs, but I'm talking about on the street. Of all the photographic disciplines, this is the one where having the interest and the ability to innovate gets you the furthest, because there is a lot of stuff that we are doing on a daily basis that wasn't done yesterday or wasn't done the same way. So you have to innovate, or you get tied to the existing technology and techniques, which is frustrating for people. The reason I wanted to talk about this week is because I want to encourage all of you to take the kind of problems that Klaus was trying to deal with, to take the kind of problems that Bud was dealing with in his work, and find ways around them. Because when you do, it creates a richer environment for the rest of us. Because we can't all do all the innovation. So when Klaus decides that we need an innovative solution for field stacking because we're not getting the pictures fast enough, we're having too much time between the pictures. It's causing alignment issues, and the quality of the pictures just isn't good enough. So he figures out a way to use currently available equipment to capture images at ridiculously high speeds, which meant coming up with a new set of standards for camera settings, as well as a new power solution for a high-powered continuous light, and so on and so on. So innovation is improving on something that's already there. Invention is making something entirely new. Now, I will be the first to grant you that there's a grey area in between. There's a zone where you really could call it either innovation or invention, but you know when you've invented something that's entirely different. And I call a lot of the stuff that I make my inventions, but none of them really are. They're all somewhat innovative. Most of the time they're built on the work other people have done. But I want to talk about the practical application, the practical aspects of how you go about inventing something. You have an idea. How do you turn that idea into a thing, a real thing? And it's not going to be a live stream about 3D printing or learning how to use a CAD program. All of that stuff it came long after I learned how to create the things I was thinking about. This is going to be more about how you capture that energy in yourself, that creative energy, to make something that's going to allow you to do a job that you currently can't do because you don't have the equipment. I want to talk about how you get a hold of that power and use it. But today we're talking about how we improve upon existing stuff. Now, for the sake of this conversation, I thought that there really should be two categories of innovation when we talk about it, because as I was making lists of the things that I thought were the more important innovations in macro photography, I realized that they were going in one of two buckets. And this is another apology excuse. I came up with a rather poor naming solution for these. I called the first set macro innovations, but that was because I meant them to be about large-scale innovations that were done by labs and companies and resourceful individuals with money and things like that. Companies making a better version of the blank. That's what I thought of as being a macro innovation, and I thought micro innovations were the things that we did, the things that didn't need excessive resources or special training of some kind. You don't need to be a nuclear physicist to engage in micro innovations. But then I realized that once we describe this to somebody else, we'd have to describe it as macro innovations or micro innovations, which I thought would cause problems. Am I right? Has it already begun to cause problems for you? We'll come up with another name for it. Maybe major and minor, though that does sound a little musical, doesn't it? Okay, but for the time being, these are the major innovations that have happened, that basically in my career, in my lifetime, maybe a bit in some cases a bit longer than that. But the first one that pops into my mind is obviously focus stacking, the way we focus stack. And before the advent of digital photography, there basically was no way to realistically do that to any extent. So the blending of multiple images at different focal lengths is a gift of digital photography more than anything else. But there was software for stacking digital images before there was Helicon and before there was Zerine. But these are perfect examples of innovation where two organizations, really two individuals, took all of these ideas and brought them together into two quite distinct products that are both vast improvements over what was available before. To be honest, there were some pretty sophisticated stacking programs available, but pretty hard to use and pretty cumbersome. I think that I have heard Rick say on occasion that the reason he designed the whole Xerine stacker program was simply so that he could stack his pictures more comfortably, because he was frustrated with the existing system. He made it for himself, in other words, which is how most of my stuff is made too. Though I haven't, to be honest, written any impressive programs ever. even boring programs, come to think of it. Yeah, mine have mostly been things you make with plastic and things like that. Then the next innovation was using rails for focus stacking. And until that, the advent of motorized rails, most of the rails that people were using were pretty clunky rack and pinion type, like your first rail probably was, like mine was. They moved the camera, they moved the lens, and you can take pictures, but they were clunky and they were heavy and they were inaccurate. And they caused a lot of motion blur, and in every way they needed to be improved upon. And that was when companies like Cognisys and ultimately We Macro and help me here and Novaflex and all the other companies that have developed really nice rails came out of the blue to innovate with something that we could all use that would make our photography so much better. LED lighting is an unsung hero in all of this. I think that the innovation, it was inevitable. I mean, LED lighting is used in everything. I mean, if you have a light that is not using an LED, then it's been overlooked by accident, and somebody will pick up on the fact that your lighthouse is still using a big bulb, and they'll replace it while you're not looking. Especially now, as I've said that, because somebody's going to be checking all their lighthouses now. But there are very, very few situations now in which an incandescent bulb is going to do. Now, I'm sure that Joseph or somebody else who's super knowledgeable about this stuff is going to list a whole bunch of things that will never change because LED can't do it. But LED lighting is being innovated so fast that it's you can look at two light bulbs like Rick did in his article on photomicrography, two light bulbs that are separated only by months, that he got at the same shop, I think, that are radically different, even after just one of them slightly been on the shelf a bit longer than the other one, and there's one that's got completely rethought electronics in it. So LED light is changing so rapidly, and we're seeing it in high end, in some cases the highest end movie lighting. The lights that are used in making feature films are now ginormous LED panels that cost as much as a small African country. Just incredibly innovative solutions using LED science, but using special LED lights that have multiple different shades of white in them even. I think they now have RGB WWW lights that have all kinds of different semiconductors. But anyway, the point is that from tiny little indicator lights all the way up to these ginormous panels, and probably by the end of this talk, lighthouse lights, LEDs are everywhere, and it's not a matter of whether or not we need to switch. It's happened already. Using diffused and off-camera flash is another innovation. I'm not sure that there was ever a time after digital photography came along where people were using on-camera speedlights as a solution. It's like with speedlights came most of these good ideas of diffusing the light and keeping the speedlights off the camera. But you know, there was a time before the AWPhotography, does that sound right? Something gated bipolar transistor, the technology that they stuff inside a speedlight. Before we had that, the only solution for doing macro photography in the studio was larger lights that could not operate at the high speeds that speedlights operate at, because they couldn't cut off the power as efficiently as they can with these special transistors. So, until that innovation was brought to us, it was limiting in what you could do. My first studio lights were just that, big studio lights, and they were very cumbersome and hard to use, and resulted in quite a lot of terrible photographs. Though, to be honest, I think if somebody had brought me from the future one of the first speedlights, I'd still have taken terrible photographs with it, to be honest, but that's neither here nor there. There's an original technique that we're all familiar with, and that's using macro lenses, which have been around for a good long time. Macro lenses that basically flip the concept of the lens around, so that we're making big images of small things by having the mechanics of the lens reversed. Not the mechanics, the optics. The innovation, or one of the innovations that came from that, was the realization that, you know what, you don't need to spend $1,000 or more on a macro lens, because they are usually pretty expensive lenses. You can actually get the same effect by flipping around a prime lens, even a zoom lens in some cases. I have taken pictures with almost every lens that I own in reverse. You know what I've never done is try to take pictures with my 150 to 600 at 600 reversed. It's because I don't have a 92 millimeter reversing ring. I ought to try that though. I might 3D print one. But that is a good example of innovation, to come up with a $10 reversing ring that allows you to use optics not designed for macro photography as macro photography tools, and do so at a fraction of the cost. Certainly, I recommend, if you're going to be doing macro, you're serious about it, you really like it, buy a macro lens. Your life will be much simpler. You'll enjoy it. It does make the process easier. But if you just dipping your toe in the water, just grab your nifty 50 and turn it around, in fact, you don't even have to get a ring. Just hold it in front of the camera and take some pictures, and you'll see what I mean. It gives you nice magnification. I'm going to mention telecentric lenses and then stop mentioning them. It's really more of an industrial application. I keep bringing this up and trying to find ways to use telecentric lenses creatively, and I'm not sure that there is one actually, and the things are so expensive. I tried making one time, and that was fun, but it's an innovation, certainly, to recognize that by maintaining your parallelism, is that a word, of the light, that you can avoid distortion in images, and you can get some really cool shots. When you need it in science, when you need it in industry, then it has a lot more application. I'm not sure if it does in what we do, and they're so expensive. What about these new automated stacking cameras, though? Who has an OM1 or a Z9? I think they do it too. These cameras, if you can live with the teeny tiny sensor, which some people swear by, some people swear at, But yeah, the innovation here is that they've taken a camera that can bracket shots and then actually process those shots into an output image in the camera. Now, that is probably one of the shining examples of macro innovation. See the problem with the naming? Yeah. But yeah, it really is an incredible step forward for those people who want to focus stack but really don't want to buy a new computer. They really don't want to learn a new program. That's too much stuff. They'd rather just buy a camera that can do it for them. Well, yeah, that is an innovation. I think we'll probably see more of that, and I bet it won't be too long before an APS-C size camera is going to come out. The problem, of course, becomes as the sensor gets bigger and bigger, the processing power required to make an image from those source images becomes pretty impressive. So we'll see. They'll probably have a camera that comes with one of Klaus's batteries, one for each side of your belt that you have to clip on. Probably won't sell very many of them, but you never know. Another thing that is new and not new. In fact, it's really not new, but it's worth mentioning, is the flexible lighting, like the kind of stuff that Optilux makes, but also Adaptilux, the bendy arm lighting that fits on your camera. That's pretty innovative when it came out. You haven't seen the video where I review the Optilux, and may not. I don't know if it's going to be released. But the fact is that it does have a role, and it has a place in creative photography too, and especially the Optilux, which is absolutely spectacular quality of lighting. But it's innovative in several ways, not just the fact that you can put light right where you want it, but you can change the quality of the light. You can even use xenon discharge tubes, flash tubes with similar kind of setups. So yeah, I think that's a fairly significant innovation. Probably one of my favorite innovations is, and it really probably should be in the invention category of things, but I didn't have anywhere else to put it, is the innovation of the 3D printer, of 3D modeling, of being able to let me tell you a story. Can you handle a story, a brief one? This is not a story, it's a camera, but one of the things that that Klaus talked about at the weekend was how, when he's doing his high-speed stacking, he uses his fingertips to rack focus, which is great if your fingertips are good at that kind of thing. Mine aren't for some reason, and I have the hardest time very accurately getting a short, accurate, fast focus throw. So what could I do about it? Well, we already had the technology. We have a fantastic lens with a lovely smooth focus ring. How could I innovate on that to make this more usable for me? And what I did was, and I can't show you because that hasn't printed yet, is I came up with a ring that clips onto the focus ring and has a set of tabs. It has 3 of them actually, that are little tiny handles that my thumb fits into, and it makes doing a partial or even a pretty large focus throw, though you wouldn't be using large ones, very, very easy for me because of the way my hands work, and I can use it backwards or forwards, and it allows me to just push the lens around instead of having to grip it and turn it. That is probably, you're thinking, he doesn't sound like he knows what he's doing. And that may be the case. But the truth of the matter is, it's easier for me to use. The ones I made, when I innovate, I usually use stuff I've already got and I bolt it together and try it. I tried it with several lenses and it worked really well. So the ones I've 3D printed are sleeker and slicker, and they've got a clippy system on them and they look good and they're made of nice colourful plastic. That's an innovation in my book, albeit a minor innovation or a macro innovation, for those of you who are not confused by my naming system. I would say that 3 days out of the average week I will make something that didn't exist before as an improvement on something that isn't working for me. Yeah, not always 3D printed. Sometimes it's just a matter of taking a hammer and whacking part of something else off to make it work better. But yeah, 3D printing though, 3D modeling, the whole concept of having an idea and creating a thing, that is power. That really is powerful. If you don't, if you've never fiddled around with 3D printing, you might not appreciate the magnitude of what I'm saying. Get a 3D printer and you will. All right, the last one. Do you know how many people are coming up with new ways to put their cameras underwater? Couldn't be a better time to talk about it. You do know that the competition this month is submerged. And yeah, it turns out, I didn't realize this, they make housings for almost every camera, even the modern cameras. You don't have to buy a Nikonos to go underwater. You can just buy a case to put your camera in. They even make plastic bags you can put in. I'm not putting mine in a plastic bag and sticking it underwater, but they make them. So that's another example of innovation. Here's a problem. I want to take a picture underwater. I'm not putting my camera underwater. We need to innovate, and that's what people are doing. I cannot wait to see what you guys have done with this submerged competition, and I have deliberately not gone over there and looked. What about minor? We're running out of time. We'll go switch back to musical. What about minor macro innovations? I think one that every one of us has probably engaged in at some point is coming up with a better diffusion material. How do you think Mylar came about? It certainly wasn't by me going and getting a degree in chemical engineering and deciding that the calculations showed Mylar would be better than paper. No, I found a roll of Mylar and gave it a try. There's a minor innovation for you, but it worked. There are now a lot of people who are using Mylar as a primary diffuser. Using reverse lenses we already talked about, but just using standard the stuff off the shelf lenses that you've got and experimenting with them, that's innovative. Fiddling around with extension tubes, who hasn't tried that? Just throwing an extension tube on any lens and see what it does. These are all the kind of things that have led to some incredible discoveries. Backgrounds. I dare say every single one of you will innovate from time to time with using a painting or a photograph or a new material that you found or a book cover as a backdrop. If you haven't, you're missing some of the most creative fun in macro photography that you can have. Some of the backdrops that I've come up with, for a while I was making them in Photoshop, putting them on a tablet and then using that as my backdrop, and I dropped the tablet and it shattered the screen, and it never made a background after that. Unless you like the jaggy black lines, which was the only one it would do. But creative opportunities abound in backdrops. What else? Using materials, just stuff you find, anything. It doesn't have to be like moss or something that actually looks like it would fit in with your picture, but just anything you've got lying around. Torn cardboard, partially burned piece of wood, it doesn't matter. For the scale that we take photographs at, you can make something interesting out of bubble wrap, the tip of a felt tip pen, a bottle of deoxit. What in the world is this? Oh, this is for cleaning electronics. There you go. That would be a nice backdrop. See what I'm saying? I just mentioned things that were sitting on my desk right there. I didn't mention yeah, just stuff from my desk. So try it. Not just as a backdrop, as a feature. Talk to Robert. Robert knows how to do this. Robert knows how to take ordinary, everyday stuff and feature it in a photograph, make it interesting. Seeds, for example. I could give you a list of seeds, maybe 10 or 12 seeds that are utterly fascinating and identical small round brown seeds, so I won't do that. Experiment with out of focus areas, using bokeh creatively. Yeah, there's all kinds of ways you can do that by modifying your lens. Don't do that, by the way. Do not modify your macro lens, because I said you could make interesting bokeh, like putting drops of super glue on it to see if that changes the out of focus areas. Not recommended. In fact, forget the whole thing. Forget the custom bokeh. What about innovating with external monitors? Does anybody use external monitors to overcome the inherent problems of trying to see the back of the screen? I got one. I got an external monitor, and I sent it back because it was harder to see than the screen on the camera. Yeah, that was a problem. Probably need to revisit that. Using reflectors, using flags. These are all opportunities to innovate, because you don't always have to, for example, use reflectors just to put a fill light on your subject. You could use a reflector in the image to create an effect, to create lens flare, which can be pretty appealing if it's done right, like on somebody else's camera. No, seriously, there are creative ways that you can use reflections or dark areas that are new to you, and try it. Try anything that crosses your mind. There is. I'm not going to come up with that. I'm not going to give you that last one. It's ridiculous. You would think me foolish if I said that. We're out of time anyway, or almost out of time. I need to go to the comments and address questions, because I have a feeling there may be some. What is your favorite innovation? What have you done in your photography that you hadn't seen anybody else do, or hadn't seen anybody else do it the way you did, that you're most proud of, or that you want to share? Tell me in the chat, because I'll read it out. I'm interested to know. So let me see. David Brown, Klaus but no cigar. That was very, very funny. I don't know what the context was. Oh, it was Robert was clapping. Yep, for the wonderful presentation that Klaus made on Saturday, along with a wonderful one that Bud made, and yeah. And David's comment was Klaus but no cigar. I think that's just brilliant. That was when Robert asked about the seeds, and I've given you all the most up-to-date information on plant seeds that's available. If you would like to buy my book, Plant Seeds for the Macro Photographer, I haven't written it yet, but when I do, it'll be free, and yeah, you can have one. And I agree with Robert when he says that Graham's pictures are unlike anything he's ever seen. I don't have it. This is every time I talk about it, I don't have it pulled up, do I? It is his picture of the Portulaca seed. It's just breathtaking. I do have it. Should I show it to you? Has anybody not seen it? Has anybody not seen Graham's picture of a Portulaca seed? Okay, well, you're getting ready to. Maybe not. Maybe not. It's not showing up. I'll find it. Just chat amongst yourselves. Has anybody not seen the picture of the picnic group? I'm going to show you that while I'm looking for the Portulaca seeds. I just absolutely love this picture. It is so cool. These are the folks that came to the Middle West, Middle Earth for our picnic 2 weeks ago, and these pictures were taken by George using a camera that's allergic to infrared light. Yeah, fantastic pictures, and I can't find the seeds. Where would I have put them? I'd probably have put them in a file. Plant seeds. Let me see if I can find them. This is fun though, isn't it? Watching somebody else look for something on the computer. I enjoy that. It's one of my favorite things to do. No, I can't find it. That's all right. I'm going to actually find it and put it on my computer for the next time. Here's an interesting fact. See this? See that creature there? This one, not these ones, this one. That showed up on my... Oh, you're not... I'm sorry, I'm not showing you the right thing. There it is. That thing. That thing that looks like a spider. That showed up on the dinner table at our picnic dinner. Yeah. Unbelievable. George made it. And it's, yeah, it's real. Shocking. It's not, but it's not a Portulaca seed. Yeah, I'm going to get in trouble from Graham for not having that more readily available to show you. So, yeah, shame on me. Not add another apology to the list there. So let me see. So most of you have seen them. Robert saw them on the Zoom replay. You know, lots of people are saying, "Oh, I'd really like to see that Portulaca seed." So I'm going to go back to trying to find it. Chat amongst yourselves. It's crazy that I wouldn't have it somewhere more immediately visible. All right. Sorry about that, chaps. How embarrassing. You know where it is. It's in my mail. I'll do that. Just here it is. I got it. All right. So this is what all the fuss is about. Yeah, this is the Portulaca seed that caused me to embarrass myself at seed shops throughout the Midwest. Now, you tell me that is not some kind of a breathtaking photograph, utterly gorgeous. It's hard to describe. I understand that the colors in this are all structural colors, and therefore it should be fairly easy to get one of these things clean and see the same kind of effects. But I have had zero luck so far. Yeah, great picture from Graham. This is Graham Carey, who found this seed and took the picture of it, and it's become famous in my world. Well done, Graham. It's beautiful. You've got a whole bunch of people trying to find these things to photograph them. This is what they look like in real life if they've been irradiated by the airport security people. Don't look anything like that, do they? Anyway, that's it. That's all the Portulaca talk. Let me see if there's Anything else that I must immediately address before we call it quits? We are basking in the warmth of your presence, Joseph, and have been for the last hour. David says, don't forget to like. He's right in threatening Sweet Thang. Yeah, if I don't get enough likes, however many that is, then Sweet Thang will be the beginning of every live stream from now on. I'm zipping through this Quadrophenia. Who's talking about old Quadrophenia? That was the Who, wasn't it? It was the Who. That was a long time ago. Great film, that. I saw that the same day I saw Tommy. No, I'm confused. I saw Tommy the same day I saw Tangerine Dream at the Royal Albert Hall in London. You don't care about that, do you? Susan, good evening. See you tomorrow. Lesson. Hope you've done your homework. Robert reminded everybody that Klaus's light is the Sirui C150X. Aren't I being helpful here so you don't have to read the messages? I'm reading them out to you. $450 for the battery. Is that what it was? $450? That had better come with some extra electrons, I would say. All right, Russ is here. Hey Russ. Gary's here. Hey Gary. And Dan is here. The gang's all here. Mike, Larry, calm down. There is no tangent on Saturday. My fault, my bad. I do apologize for that. I was panicking because I thought, it's definitely a second Saturday. It's more than the second Saturday. Yeah, I got it upside down. Don't worry about it. Alrighty. John has spent over a month with the same wasp. John, it's time for you to get out and start meeting other wasps. It's clearly painful for you. Amy's here. Greetings, Amy. And Tom's here as well. It's like the gang is all getting together. The picnic gang. Alrighty, let me see. I'm gonna whiz through. Yeah, Robert Stowrost's portulaca seeds look like mustard seeds. They look like begonia seeds and petunia seeds and every other seed that I mentioned. Just little brown blobs. Mine do anyway. All right. Larry has 2 full sets of old ruling pens. I don't know what a ruling pen is. So that means very little to me. Okay. Hang on. No, they're talking about beam compasses. Did you get the 5-piece set or the 6-piece set that comes with nothing extra? This is the 6th piece here. Did you get that one or the 5-piece set? Borderland peppers. What in the world's going on, my friend? You've been gone forever. I'm glad you came back. I think we're out of time. No, we're not. We've got 2 minutes for me to say some more highs. Lobelia was one of the evil Klingon sisters from DS9. I'm going to have to take your word for that because I stopped watching Star Trek. When did I stop watching it? After the one with the little furry balls of viciousness that appeared on the Enterprise, those little round things, I thought that was a bit ridiculous. I had trouble suspending my disbelief after that point and stopped watching it. Yeah. So, Borderland peppers. He's got chili seeds. And, chili seeds, are they small, brown, round, boring seeds like every other one I've experimented with? All righty. That is straight lighting, Michelle. He shot that, if I am understanding correctly, just with his standard 2-light setup. I might be wrong about that. I'll check with him, but I think it was just diffused light. Nothing polarized, nothing fancy. And I know that that's true because every 10th or 20th seed has an area on it that looks like that I can see the puzzle pieces and I can see the colors. So that, I mean, it's real. There's no special lighting. I seriously am trying to grow these because I've been told that the fresh seeds are what you need to get that spectacular color. There's going to be I will sing your praises. The first person who can come up with a picture and send it to me that looks half as good as Graham's picture, you'll get a big shout out on the live stream. I mean, multiple shout outs. So, yeah, no, not cross-polarized, Michelle. Not anything funky, just straight light. Tribbles. Robert, you nailed it. The trouble with tribbles. My goodness. All right. So Joseph says his mother made him one, but he doesn't have any idea what happened to it. I don't know what he's talking about. But, yeah, your mum will be furious if you lost it, though. That was the trouble with tribbles, says Joseph, from the original series. Yes. 1967. That was when I was 43. That's when I stopped watching it. Screenplay, of course, by David Gerrold. Who else would it have been back then? Yeah, tribbles. Everybody knew it except me. Unbelievable. David F. is a fan of Tangerine Dream. That's good to know. Yeah, I used to love those bands. Electronica. My favourite stuff was progressive rock. I was big into bands like Genesis and Gentle Giant. Yeah, they were a couple of my favourites. I love that kind of music. I still listen to that kind of music. Yeah. Unbelievable. All right. Well, I think that David Brown said it looks like an abalone puzzle. He's talking about the seed, and it does. It does. It's got that rich, deep abalone kind of multicolored structural color look to it. Yeah, love it, love it. And Joseph likes Tangerine Dream. How about that? Unbelievable. Why didn't all you people come to the picnic? I mean, this would have been so much fun to sit around. Imagine all the stuff we could have talked about. Yeah, I think we've already talked about it all. We could talk about seeds, and I could give you my recommendations for plant seeds. Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Larry? Yes, agreed. Alan Parsons Project. Did you see the recent interview that Alan Parsons did with, what's his name? Oh, it's embarrassing. I'm terrible with names. The guy that, the producer that interviews everybody. Great YouTube channel. Somebody tell me what his name is before I go, please. Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Kansas, Jethro Tull. Yes. Zeno. That got you going. Another Alan Parsons. Yeah, Rick Beato. Thank you, Larry. This is so much fun. This is like having a real conversation with my friends, only they can't talk. They're holding up signs. All right, fantastic. Alan said he's glad I'm feeling better, and that was very thoughtful of you, Alan. Yes, I am feeling. I'm feeling back to myself. Last week was tough. I don't know what was going on, but felt great. Art, thank you for coming. Alan, thank you for everything. And guys, I'll see you on Thursday, and we're going to be talking less about Coleman Hawkins, maybe a couple of bluegrass bands, but a lot of prog rock. I may even bring some clips. How would that be? All right, guys, have a great evening. Thanks very much for coming, and let's get inventive on Thursday. Take care, stay safe, and be well.